So what is active and inactive relationship? So the active relationship propagates the filters to other tables. The inactive is it doesn't pass the filter. Okay. So you know what is a filter, right? Sorry, you know what is a filter? Filter is nothing but the relationship. You should have created the relationship between the tables. Yes, I have created the relationship, but when I create more than one relationship between the tables, what happens is the first time when you create the relationship between the tables, that one will become an active, and followed by that, if I create any other relationship, that will become inactive relationship. Okay, the active relationship, it propagates the filters to other tables, which is nothing but it passes the values of the key columns to other tables, so that the filter will get applied on the other table based on the key that received by the other tables. Okay. And okay, so we have the inactive relationship. Inactive relationship, it doesn't pass the filter to other tables, but a relationship will be there. It will not pass the filter because it is inactive relationship. So is there any way that I can make the inactive relationship as an active relationship? Yes. So that is when you can use a DAX command or DAX built-in function called use relationship, using which you can enable the inactive relationship as an active relationship temporarily. Okay. So by default, as of today, only one relationship between the two tables are allowed at a time. Okay. If you create more than one relationship, what happens is, except the first one, the rest of the relationship will become inactive relationship. That you can find out with the dotted line between the tables. Well, okay, so look here, I just go to the model view. Okay, in this model view, and here we have the date dimension table. We have seen it in the last session, date dimension table. Here, I have created more than one relationship between the sales fact and date dimension table. Okay, let me just check the dim date. Why does it shows? Okay, because in the sales W04, we have more than one date column is there, but here we have only one date column is there. For that reason, right, I have demonstrated this one, the date and other things. What I do is I just okay, I just go here and then okay, what I will do is I will just make some changes to my sales fact table. There we have only the order date column is there. So only one date column. I'm going to create additional date column there in the sales fact table. No, already ship date is there. Two 11, 411. Yes, here. And if you see here, the ship date is 2 days more than the order date. Obviously, the ship date should be either same as your order date or it should be greater than your order date. Now it shows correctly, but here why am I not able to see that one? I just go here and the sales fact table. Yeah, it's already there. Look here, ship date already I included it here, right? So but in your file, when you load the Excel file, the sales fact Excel file, you will find only order date. I have included the ship date also, right? So that I can give you a demo, like create a relationship between the date dimension tables, date column with the order date. The first one is the date and order date. The second one is date and ship date. So date and ship date is an inactive relationship. Okay. This is an active relationship and this is an inactive relationship. Here, the whatever the date values are there here, that one will be passed to this table to apply the, and then it will apply the filter. For example, if you pass 22 January 2021, that date, if that get passed here, all the transactions related to that data will get grouped. Okay. But whereas here, in this case, relationship is there between date and ship date, but it is inactive relationship. Hence, we can see that the dotted line between these two tables. Okay, and because of the inactive relationship, it will not pass the value to your sales fact table. It will not propagate the values. Okay, so what you need to do is okay, here I have linked this one, but okay, dim date. I have to go and change it here. The dim date. Okay, I just go here. Dim date, right? Okay, the dim date table. Yeah, I suppose use sales fact table. Min of this is max of sales fact. You will order date. I just close this one, max, and for that one, the calendar. Calendar is a function. It takes the minimum and the maximum dates. So the year, the minimum is it will start with the least date. The maximum is the recent date. Okay. So end of the day, the calendar function returns by taking these two values. It returns a table with date column, date time. Here I have changed it to date data type, and the column name is date. So this date column is available in my dim date table. Okay, dim date table, and right. So in the next, I have created a new column. In the new column, I have used the year function. Within the year function, I have used a dim date of date column. Hence, it extracted only the year. Okay, fine. Everything else is correct. Let me just see if this one works fine. Yes, it refreshed with the sales fact tables date columns. Okay. So active and inactive relationship. Yes, fine. Now I just go here and then I just okay, click on the plus here. I just create a new page. I'm going to click on the table visual. I just resize it, and here what I do is the dim date table. Okay, these are like calculated column month name month, right? Yeah. So month name, I just drop it here, and the sales fact table, I just drag and drop the sales amount. Hope it is visible to you all, right? So month name and sales amount, only two columns I used it. Here the month name comes from your dim date table, and then the sales amount comes from your sales fact table. Okay. the dim date, in the dim date table, I have used the date column to establish the relationship between the sales fact and dim date using the date column and order date. So this is the sales, the total sales breakdown by month it shows here, right? It gives me the breakdown of sales by month, total sales breakdown by month. This is with respect to the order date, okay? If I wanted to see the sales amount by ship date, then it will not work, right? So in that case, you don't have the ship date column available in date dimension, right? So sorry, you have the ship date column, but it is an inactive relationship. It will not pass the relationship, right? It will not pass the values. It will not do the filter here. So what I do is I just go here. I'm going to create a measure. I just clicked on the modeling tab and then I just click on the new measure. Okay, here I just give, okay, sales by ship date, something like that. Okay, here I just use the calculate function. There is something called calculate function. This is very, very important function. Here I just say total sales is already, no, it is not there. I just use sum of sales amount, sales amount. This is the column. And I'm going to use a function called use relationship. And here the first column, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the dim date tables date column, comma, the sales fact tables ship date column. Because the ship date and date column in your date dimension table are inactive, right? So, okay, use relationship, I closed that one. And now if you see here, we have something called use relationship function, because this function, you cannot use it. Since you cannot use it as a standalone function, you need to use it inside the calculate function. Yes, I have used it. The first argument of your calculate function is supposed to be a expression. Okay, it could be a, it's a measure. Okay, you need to specify measure or some expression. Here sum of sales amount I mentioned, comma, in the next line use relationship dim data. So this one, the use relationship function, what it does is it will convert your inactive relationship between these two tables as an active relationship and until this calculation is done. Once this calculation is done, it will reset it back to inactive. Got it? I just repeated. So the use relation, there is a use relationship function using which you can, you can switch the inactive relationship to active relationship temporarily, right? Until, in this case, I have used the use relationship inside the calculate function as a second argument. What it does is it converts this one as an active relationship, the inactive as an active till this calculation is done. Once this calculation is done, behind the scene, it reset it back to inactive relationship. So everything happens on the fly. Okay, now sales by a such date, right? That is the measure. We have created it. This one, if I drag and drop it, let's see what happens. Sales by SHP date. I just drag and drop this here. Yes, now it is working. You can see some difference, right? Majority of them look same, but somewhere here 8,350, 8,000 here, right? Here 3057, 3057, 285, 622. Yeah, so 622, right? 3,600. So there is a difference here. So why is that shows difference here? How it is different, how this measures values are different from this one? That is because, these are date table. This is your sales fact table. For that, we have used the or date and order date column, okay, to create the relationship, okay. And whereas here, the table and the ship date column in the sales fact table, was inactive relationship. What we did, we have created a measure, wherein we have used the use relationship function. That is the one helps us to convert the inactive to active relation temporarily until the total sales. So what is the logic behind this? The logic is, for example, some customers, let's January 31st, you ordered a product and you made the payment on the same day. So you go to Amazon site and you are ordering the product on January 31st. Okay, and then you make the payment same day. But what I do is even I go and order it on January 31st, but I don't make the payment on the same day. Okay, so in that case, the January month, the revenue will recognized only in the Feb month. Okay, to see the difference, right? How much, what is the total sales breakdown by order date? So for that, we need to have a relationship between these two tables based on the date and order date. And here, we need to really, create a relationship between these two tables based on the ship date. Okay. So what happens? I did 31st January, I ordered the product, but February 5th, I received the product. The shipment date was on Feb 5th. On that day, right, upon receiving the product in my hand, I make the payment. Okay, so that is what this one shows. Okay, so this is one way to convert the or switch your inactive to active relationship on the fly, and then once your calculation is done, it will reset it back to your inactive relationship. That is, everything is happen automatically behind the scene. Okay, but you need to use the use relationship function. So this is the way out for this, because your manager wants to see the sales amount by order date and sales amount by ship date, right? So in that case, to display this one, because it's an inactive relationship, you need to convert this a active relationship using use relationship function, and then you do it, right? So for that, you need to have a measure here. So now we understood with this example what is active and inactive relationship. So inactive relationship is common because in real world scenario you may have to create more than one relationship between some tables. Okay, so in that case, the except the first relationship, rest of them will get created as inactive relationship. In order to display the values, right? You need to enable the inactive to active on the fly and do the calculation, display the values in report, and then yeah. So for that purpose, right, you need to use relationship function. Okay, is there any other alternative? So what I do is the dim date table is there, right? I just copy paste this one. Okay, I just rename it. Okay, and then I just say that the ship date. For example, if you over here, they did not give any option like duplicate. The only way is look at ship date. I already created here, right? Yeah, ship date is another date column, date table. I just copy pasted the same thing. Okay, sales fact, order date, same thing. It's a copy of that one. 1 second, where is this one? This is also a date dimension. Okay, and here I duplicate. Just think that I have duplicated the same table. Dim date, I just duplicate. Only thing is I renamed as a ship date column. Ship date as a table name. So now I just dragged and dropped the date column on top of my ship date column. Hence you can see the active relationship because only one relationship exists between these two tables. So in this case, you don't need the inactive relationship at all. Right. So in that case, you don't have to write a DAX function or measure to temporarily enable the inactive to active relationship. But in the case of sales fact table, like order date and ship date, if I have two more date column, I need to create more than one dimension table. For example, I have due date column. I need to put one more, I need to have one more clone of the same dim date table. Clone means the copy of the dim date table, I should have it. Okay, and if I have any other date, right? The fulfillment date, something like that. Okay, you need to have another dimension table. So on the one hand, it is good because you don't have to use a measure to temporarily any activate and inactivate the relationship between the inactive relationship. But the positive side is right. If you have the separate dimension table for each date table, and it's a clone of the same thing, copy of the same thing, right? So you can create the relationship directly. Hence, you have active relationship only. You don't have inactive relationship. But the disadvantage here is you will end up having so many tables. Having so many tables will lead to some kind of maintenance overhead. You need to back up all the tables. Okay, and so that is one issue. But with the inactive relationship, yeah, you have to use the built-in function. You need to create a separate measure to do that one. Okay, that is the only way out. And the other the issue here is, for example, I am going to create another table visual, and this time instead of using the dim date table, I'm going to use the ship date table. Here I'm going to select this month name, and then here I'm going to use the sales amount. From the ship date table, I'm using this one. Okay, 1 second. Here I think the month sales amount. Sales amount. Okay, the month name is not coming here. So yeah, maybe the month name is there, right? Order date. All the months are displayed here, but the moment when I select the sales amount here, it is something wrong here. Okay, the sales amount comes from sales fact table and month name comes from ship date month name. But if I don't put the sales amount is the one causing the problem. Let me do one thing. I just don't summarize. We actually need the summarized one because here it shows summarized one. Okay, there is a problem here. This date column and that, right? So I just select it here. I just go and check the properties. And the ship date is the date column. Sorry, this one date is the date column, right? I just select the date column here. It shows a date 14 March long date. I just select it here, the ship date. Yeah, long date only, but still it is not showing something wrong here. The ship date and this date column got linked. Okay, I just go back here and then check is everything is correct. And oh, look here, sales W04. I'm using sales W04. That is the reason why it is not showing correctly. I just go to the dim date table. I just simply copy this instead of making changes there. This date table is not exact copy of your dim date. That is a problem. And if I go back here, it has to show the correct thing. Look here, now it shows everything correctly. Now, the sales amount breakdown by month by ship date. But order date, can I do it here? It will not work here. Okay, the ship date, right? So in that case, you need to use another table visual to display month name along with the sales amount by order date. That is another disadvantage with creating a separate or the copy of your date dimension table. Okay, date dimension table. Okay, this ship date table has exactly the same number of records that are available in date dimension table. So this is called your role playing dimension. The same dimension table plays different roles. Like in our family, a male in a family plays different role. Similarly, for different persons, right? So dim date and ship date, both of them have the same data in it. So here the dim date plays a different role, the ship date plays a different role. Hence, it is called role playing dimension. This is another approach wherein you can overcome by using the inactive relationship. If you can drop the inactive relationship, still it will work. You don't need an inactive relationship. The interview, they ask you, they'll start asking something. What is active relationship and inactive relationship? So, okay, if you have so many inactive relationship, what will happen? You need to write that many number of DAX functions. So the DAX functions performs the calculations, everything, on the fly because we are using measure. It will slow down the performance. Okay, if you have so many relationship, here it is okay, two relationship. If you have five relationships and that two, all the tables are having huge volume of data, it'll slow down the performance. And the overcome that, what you can is you can have the clone of the date dimension tables. So date dimension, for example, even if your business they are doing 10 years of data, right? So 10 years into 365, how much? 3,650 records only will be there. When it comes to the total number of records in a date dimension, it's very less only compared to your fact table and other tables. Still it is less, but the flip side of this one is you are going to have so many tables, it is going to cause some maintenance overhead. Okay, but if you have four or five date table, you may have to have five additional date tables, right? It will cause some kind of confusion. Better in that case, you can have the inactive relationship be created between the tables. But if they ask you something, how do you overcome by creating the inactive? So how do you overcome the inactive relationship? So one way is the role playing dimension. Okay, I don't have, and as per my company policy, I'm not supposed to clone the existing table. Then you can use the measure. The use relationship built-in function is available. With that, you can switch from one state to another state. Okay, inactive to active. We can switch. You can also copy this table, same thing, right? You copy here, but in this table, this is not required. The yes, ship date is not required. This sales amount is nothing but by order date. This sales amount is by your ship date. You forget about the blank. Some blank value is there in some table, right? That's the reason it is not displaying it. Okay. So now you understood what is active and inactive relationship. Active relationship enables the table to filter the other table, whereas the inactive relationship, it will not do the filtering automatically. Okay, so it requires some treatment. There are two approaches. One is you can create a role playing dimension so that you don't need to create multiple relationship between the tables. The other approach is you can use a DAX function use relationship, using which you can temporarily enable your inactive as active relationship. That's all. Okay, we are done.